Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, March 25th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are currently trading higher by 0.96%, almost 1%. It's a really good start for the day. I mean, sentiment is really improving over these geopolitical issues, which really have potential of creating a ceasefire framework, which is very positive. I mean, yesterday after the close, the U.S. introduced their 15-point plan, which is aimed at ending the hostilities in the Middle East. And reportedly there's a meeting that's scheduled for tomorrow between Iran and U.S. officials. That could be something there. We'll have to wait and see. But the situation, while encouraging, it's still fluid because both sides negotiating sides are rather far apart and significant concessions are going to be made. So volatility is going to persist. You got to be prepared for that. And then we got a lot of corporate news going on. You got Merck, they're agreeing to buy Terms Pharmaceutical for $53 a share. You got OpenAI announcing that it's shutting down its AI video generator Sora platform. That ends that partnership that they had with Walt Disney, ticker DIS. ARM Holdings, remember, yesterday I told you that they were having a shareholders meeting. And the shareholders meeting, sometimes good things come out of it. And yesterday, ARM made headlines by unveiling their first internally designed data center CPU, which really shows a bigger push into AI infrastructure. And the big one is we had a lot of tech IPOs, upcoming, but SpaceX is reportedly ready to file. They could be filing this week. And now the reason why this is huge is because this is going to be a $75 billion IPO. I don't think I've ever seen something that large. I mean, that's drawing strong interest. So SpaceX IPO, $75 billion. Wow. And then we got earnings news. You got, a number of companies that reported earnings that are trading higher. You got Chewy, Breeze, GameStop was lower, but I saw it ticking higher just earlier today. And ticker AIR, which is ARR Corp. They're all trading higher after earnings reports. Okay, now we're going to take a look over European exchanges, and we're looking at the DAX. The DAX is showing a gain of 410 points. That's 1.81%. You got the FTSE higher by 144 points. That's up 1.45%. You got the CAC in Paris up 132 points, or 1.72%. Tech stocks are really leading the rally, which is good. You're seeing some strength in pharmaceuticals as well because of all the M&A activity. And the defense and financial stocks are also positive, so that's a good start for for the U.S. markets. We're going to see some gains in those sectors, it looks like. And then we're moving over to Asia, which saw gains because they got that talk of the ceasefire report first, before they opened. And you had the Nikkei jump 1,497 points, or 2.87%. Gains were led by tech, AI stocks as well. BOJ minutes came out, showed a move towards rising interest rates. Remember, they have ultra low interest rates in Japan, so they want to get back into the global framework. So raising interest rates is something they will probably be doing over the course of this year. Then you get the Hang Seng, which, it was up big yesterday. It gained another 1.09%, or 272 points last night. And the strength was broad-based. Most sectors were in the green. And Shanghai in China finished higher by 1.3%. What led their rally? Tech stocks. Tech stocks led that rally. Then we got to talk about oil, which oil is getting hit this morning. You got WTI trading at $87.49 a barrel. That's down 5.26%. You got Brent under 100 at $98.71 a barrel, down 5.53%. I mean, talk of a ceasefire, talk of that Iran is going to allow non-hostile ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. This is all positive action. This is kind of an indication, they're not saying it, but they could be allowing the Strait of Hormuz to open for oil to start flowing again. But also last night you had that API report, the American Petroleum Report. They came out with their estimates on U.S. crude inventories. It showed, according to their estimates, crude inventories rose by 2.3 million barrels last week. That's bearish for oil prices, very bearish. Later today, you get the official numbers coming out. Okay, now we're talking about stocks whose earnings come out, and You got to start off with Chewy, ticker CHWY. Stock's up 7.51%. Now they missed by a penny, but they met on revenue, but they gave good guidance, and that was really the key there. Then we got ARR Corp, which is ticker AIR, Apple India Richard. These guys beat by 9 cents. They did it on high revenue. That stock's up 4.06% this morning. Nice. Upcoming after the bell, the key one that is really Jeffries, ticker JEF. Stock's not really doing anything this morning. It's unchanged this morning, but they're on watch as earnings are due out after the bell. Their EPS is 89 cents, and their expected move is 13.65%. Now, what's funny here is just the other day I reported and I mentioned that, Jeffries is receiving takeover interest from Mitsui over in Japan. Now, with an earnings report and a potential deal, sometimes they go together. Sometimes you see both mentioned at the same time. I just think that there's too many regulatory hurdles for a Japanese company to be taking over a U.S. company these days. So I'm not putting a whole lot of, I don't think it'll happen, but it is a possibility. So let's keep an eye on that. Okay, now we're moving on to economic reports. At 8:30 a.m., we got import-export prices. These are delayed. At 10:30 a.m., you get the EIA oil inventory report. That's going to be a key one. That's going to, maybe move the needle on oil prices when that report comes out. Okay, now we're looking at, some stocks that are moving in the FANG, with respect to the FANG stocks. And one of the stories that I'm following is Apple, because they're looking to upgrade their Siri platform. They want to follow Amazon's Alexa. They want to get more chat capabilities into that program. And now, the key here is it's set to unveil on June 8th. June 8th is their developers conference. Remember, you always got to pay attention to these conferences because stocks tend to rise ahead of these conferences because why? They're waiting for these potential positive developments to be announced. So June 8th, you could see some positive activity in Apple shares as we get closer to that date. Amazon, see multiple price target upgrades this morning, which is nice to see. Meta, they introduced this new executive incentive program, a new pay scale for their executives. I mean, if they hit it, you're talking a $9 trillion company valuation. Wow. And, Tesla, the big news on Tesla is SpaceX. They could be filing their IPO prospectus this week. And, any day now. Could happen today, could happen tomorrow, could happen Friday. But SpaceX IPO is pretty close to being filed. And we're talking a $75 billion valuation. Wow. Okay, now we're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks, and the big story is Disney. OpenAI is closing down their Sora AI video app, which Disney had a big stake in it. They were really willing to spend some money to make sure that this works, and they were offering a lot of incentives, and OpenAI is just shelving it. They need to focus on other issues right now. Travelers Group, ticker TRV, they dropped their lawsuit against Google over coverage tied to YouTube addiction claims. That's interesting. Okay, now we're talking merger news, and we've got to talk Merck, ticker MRK. They're going to acquire Terms Pharmaceutical. That's ticker TERN, Tom, Edward, Richard, Nancy. They're doing it for $53 a share. That's a $6.7 billion deal. And let's not forget Johnson & Johnson, J&J, Johnny John. They're said to be considering making a bid for French company Nanobiotech's ticker NBTX, Nancy Boy, Tom, X-Ray. Could be something there. In terms of guidance, who's Chewy, ticker CHWY. They see full year 2026 revenue coming in $13.6 to $13.75 billion, while the street estimate is at $13.5 billion. That's an uptick. Medtronic, MDT, David, Tom, they cut their full year 2026 EPS view to $5.50 to $5.54. Street estimates $5.64. That's a big downtick. Okay, now we're talking shareholders meetings, and we've got to talk about Starbucks, SBUX. They're holding a shareholders meeting today, scheduled to start at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Could be something there. In terms of buyback news, we're talking Robinhood, ticker HOOD, Henry, Oscar, David. Their board approved a buyback plan for up to $1.5 billion in shares. So they lots of good stories hitting the tape. Okay, now we're moving on. We're going to talk about our stock of the day for today. I'm going with Commercial Metals Corp. Earnings are due out tomorrow morning. EPS is $1.28. Expected move is 10.55%. Look at this call option activity yesterday. 876 calls traded to 86 puts. That's 10 to 1. Nice. Open interest, 55,029 to 35,013. Again, positive. Like to see that. And the major brokers are raising price targets on the stock. That's good to see. Now, I want to get in under 64. I'm saying, 63, 75-ish area, hoping for a little bit of weakness, but I think this could be a good one. So my pick of the day is ticker CMC, Charlie Michael Charlie, 63.75, under 64, as my pick of the day today. All right, let's move on and let's talk about the stories that are hitting the tape this morning. Here we go. SRPT, Sam, Richard, Paul, Tom, Serapina, they announced first clinical data from Pipeline. They had it started, I thought it started a little later this morning, but apparently they put out some press releases already. CEO Owen on Holdings, Owen, CEO resigned. Not good. Supply crunch in Intel, AMD CPUs deal fresh blow to PCs and server makers. Lockheed Martin Dow to accelerate production of precision strike missiles. Honeywell signs what they're calling a groundbreaking supplier framework agreement with the Department of War. Meta to appeal a $375 million verdict in New Mexico over child safety. Geneva to become the world's capital of AI in July for its ITU's AI Good Global Summit. Interesting. All right, that's all I'm really seeing this morning. Okay, now we're going to go on to our pick of the day from yesterday, which was King Cloud, ticker KC, Kilo Charlie. First off, stock's up 5.7% this morning. I mean, it was just a winner. I mean, the stock opened up at 13.53. I was thinking 13.70, and it opened up actually lower, and that was the low of the day. And then it ran to 14.01 and closed at 13.87. Easily beating the 1% goal, but this morning, the stock's already hit a high of 14.67. So you look at that opening price of 13.53, and you see the high for today of 13.50. There's easily 1% is there, 1% more. So King Cloud, ticker KC, was a big winner yesterday. Nice win. Okay, traders, that concludes today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.